What up, world? Dana Harris again, making math cool again. And we're talking about the cosine function this go round. Trig functions, and we want to graph them. We always hear SOL, COT, TOA, and all these different things with trig functions, but we're talking about the graph of trig functions now. So here with the cosine function, it's slightly different. If you look at the graph behind me, notice that this graph is not the same as the sine function, okay? So notice if we look at the origin of the graph, it actually starts at a maximum point versus the cosine function started at the origin, which was at the center point. So the beginning of a wavelength of the cosine function, so we say y equals cosine of x, or we can do in function notation f of x equals cosine of x. So this is the way it looks, y equals cosine x. So you might see COS or the full word cosine, okay? So notice it starts at the maximum point, and once again when we talk about that, that is going to be the amplitude, okay? Once again, the amplitude is the distance from the center to the maximum point. So this is also a maximum point. We have a maximum point here as well, okay? Now, when we look at the amplitude as well, it's the distance from the center to the minimum point, okay? So here we have a minimum point on that graph, okay? So we have the maximum, we have the minimum. We've talked about the amplitude. Once again, here's another amplitude here, okay? So it's from the center to the maximum point. Now, we also need to talk about the period. Notice it goes from a maximum point down to the center at pi over 2 radians. When we get to pi radians, it's at the minimum point. Back up to 3 pi over 2 radians, it's at the center. And at 2 pi radians, it's at the maximum point. So notice the period here is also 2 pi, okay? So for the sine and the cosine function, they have a period of 2 pi. If you're wondering why the basic sine and cosine function has a period of 2 pi, it deals with a circle. A full circle has 2 pi radians in it, so that's exactly why. So here's we've talked about the maximum, the minimum, the amplitude, the period of the cosine function, and this is the basic cosine function graph, okay? We'll discuss translations or transformations, in the cosine function as well in the next videos to come. Young Guru's Math Tutoring. I've got the solution to your math problems, folks.